future. The Office of Management and Budget issued orders shortly before midnight, for the midnight deadline last night, that agencies should now execute plans for an orderly shutdown due to the absence of appropriations because Congress had failed to act to keep the federal government financed. After a series of back-and-forth legislative maneuvers, the House and Senate ended yesterday with no resolution, and the Senate halted business until later today, while the House took steps to open talks. Nevada Senator Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, dismissed as game playing the House proposal to begin conference committee negotiations. The Obama administration and the Republican-controlled House had come close to failing to finance the government in the past, but had always reached a last-minute agreement to head off a disruption in government service, until now. Well, in the hours leading up to the deadline, House Republican leaders won approval of a new plan to tie further government spending to a one-year delay and a requirement that individuals buy health insurance. The House plan would deny federal subsidies to members of Congress, Capitol Hill staff, executive branch political appointees, White House staff, and the President and VP will be forced to buy their own health coverage on the Affordable Care Act's new insurance exchanges. But about an hour later, and with almost no debate, the Senate killed the House health care provisions and sent the stopgap spending bill right back, free of policy prescriptions. Earlier in the day, the Senate had taken less than 25 minutes to convene and dispose of the weekend budget proposal by the House. This is going back and forth. And now the Republicans argue that the administration has itself delayed elements of the law. They say it should be postponed for at least a year. And then you have the Democrats that say the Republicans are being driven by the most extreme elements of their party to use the federal budget to extract concessions on health care that they could not win through the traditional legislative process. So those are some of the things that we're seeing in the government impasse. Now, more importantly, this is going to affect you and I, taxpayers in this country, and it's going to affect our bottom dollar. The old adage, turn the lights off to save money, just doesn't apply when it comes to the government. In fact, shuttering government offices has actually cost taxpayers money. An estimated $2 billion in today's dollars. The last time it happened in 95-96, when the government was closed for 27 days. This time it will be no different. Even if workers aren't given back pay, as they were in the 90s, the government will still lose out on an important source of revenue, like inspection fees and visas and licensing fees. Plus, there are back costs to reopening. So, in an effort to save more money, the government's costing us more money. It's a no-win situation. And the Republicans are not helping the situation, and the Democrats aren't either. We have a Congress that has reached an impasse to the point where nobody wants to work with the other side to make genuine concessions. We're going to have to compromise in order to get this government back up and running. Right now, I'm looking at the American flag waving off in the breeze. And I'm wondering, how much longer will that flag stay up there? Now, this is on private property, but can we afford to continue to do this every time the Republicans see a law that they don't like, or the Democrats? This is insane. I have never seen this kind of bitterness toward any presidential administration in my life. Well, the government would also lose money from revenues, fees, and fines. For example, the EPA estimated that $63 million in environmental inspection fines were collected in 95 and 96. About 200,000 passport applications went unprocessed. In total, the OMB estimated that the 95-96 shutdown alone cost $1.4 billion. 27 days, and we lost nearly $1.5 billion in potential revenue in this country. What's our debt now? So, again, this political pandering is not helping anybody. It's not helping Republicans. It's not helping the Democrats. It's not helping the 1.8 million government workers right now that are essentially without a job. Well, they've got a job, they they're just not getting paid for it. So they got an unpaid vacation on tap, and there's no guarantee that they're going to get back pay because a bunch of egotistical maniacs in Washington, D.C. are unwilling to put aside their childish differences and do what's right for the people of this great country. And I wish I had a solution, but I don't. The only solution I got is, okay, we've outlined where we stand and things we want to do and we don't want to do. Well, you're going to have to do some of those things you don't want to do. That's both Republicans and Democrats. And I'm not very happy with either political party right now. Well, I've heard the argument, well, we need to start a third political party. Given the political climate, it will just add more confusion. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I don't believe that's the answer. So, we're basically at the stop sign, and the driver is unwilling to go or to let the other car pass. And the nature of politics is negotiating for the best interest of the people. Doesn't mean you're always going to get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need, to quote the Rolling Stones. So that's where we are at the moment. Well, I'm sure that CBS News and other agencies will have more details about the government impasse in a few minutes. Right now, a couple other things I wanted to bring up aside from the government shutdown. One of which is a story that I've been following a little bit on this program. Talked a little bit about it earlier, a couple of weeks ago, I believe, about Hillary Rodham Clinton, about the film that the GOP objected to. Well, it seems now that the project has been canceled. The biopics that drew protests from the Republican National Committee have now been canceled before they were even made. As reported in August, the RNC had unanimously passed a resolution preventing the committee from partnering with CNN and NBC for debates if they didn't drop their Hillary Clinton productions ahead of the 2016 presidential election. Now, at this point, Hillary hasn't even said that she's running in 2016, and I don't believe she will. Okay? And I've also come to believe that, I don't remember if I've said it on this program or not, but Senator Wendy Davis of Texas, I think, is a good candidate. Now, she probably won't be a good candidate in 2016, but I think she's someone to eye down the road, more like in about 2024. She's running for governor of Texas, and I hope she gets it. At least when she has a Senate filibuster, she stands her ground. She remains true to her convictions. She doesn't do what Ted Cruz did last week. Spent 24 hours wasting congressional or Senate time filibustering a bill that he said he was opposed to, and then he went ahead and voted along with everyone else, 100-0 in favor of a Senate resolution. The guy is a political windsock. Now, I know I just got done saying that we need more leaders to compromise, but blowing which way the wind blows is not compromise. You got to take some stuff in to trade. You don't just give away everything saying, okay, I give up. That's not a leader, okay? There's give and take. Well, anyway, getting back to this story, CNN was planning a documentary. NBC was planning to give the former First Lady, former Secretary of State, and potential 2016 Democratic presidential contender a historical fiction treatment in a miniseries. Well, the network said in August that the RNC's objections were unwarranted, but now it seems that the documentary filmmaker, Charles Ferguson, says he's pulling the plug on the CNN production because when he approached people for interviews, he discovered that nobody was interested in helping to make this film. No Democrats, no Republicans, even people who worked with the Clintons want access to the story. So all that harping, all that complaining, all for naught. So hopefully this is a dead issue. We shall see. Now, one other thing I wanted to bring up on today's program, pardon me for just a moment, I need to clear my throat, and I don't think you want to hear me do it in your ear right now. One other thing I wanted to bring up on today's program, a story I've been following off and on this program, about Hobby Lobby. Well, it seems that a recent local blog post in New Jersey sparked an internal investigation with Hobby Lobby's parent company. Post written by Ken Burwitz, author of the political book Hopelessly Partisan, pointed to a conversation in which a Hobby Lobby employee was allegedly asked why the craft store doesn't carry Jewish holiday decorations. The employee allegedly answered, "We don't cater to you people." Wow. This is a Christian organization, supposedly. Do you not remember that Jesus was perhaps the most famous Jew in history? Or at least according to myth. Well, when Burwitz looked into the issue himself, he claims the answer from Hobby Lobby's Marlboro Township store because, quote, because Mr. David Green is the owner of the company, he's a Christian, and those are his values, unquote. Well, Hobby Lobby representative Vincent Parker initially answered Patch with a brief statement saying the store is working with buyers and looking into including Jewish holiday decorations. And on an email to John Hornick, Parker said the company is in fact investigating the alleged comments. Alleged comments made by employees are currently being investigated and will be addressed accordingly. These comments are in no way indicative of Hobby Lobby culture, the owners, and operators. And hopefully that situation will be resolved very soon. But that is some very bad blood in that company, and you really need to get rid of it fast. Now, I'm not saying I'm a foremost authority on what a company should and shouldn't have in terms of employees. I mean, everybody needs a job or a way of earning income. But the guy who said that, disparaging remarks about Jewish people, really needs to get his house in order and needs to come to terms with his anger, because that kind of thinking can lead to far greater implications than he can possibly handle. Well, enough of my soapbox and Bruce Williams segment on this program. Going to take a quick break, and coming back in just a moment, going to talk about things such as news headlines, the weather forecast, along with the CBS World News Roundup a little bit later on, and a whole lot more on this live edition of First Cup. In the meantime, we'll get ready for what's trending, things you need to know as you go out and about on this Tuesday, things you need to know as you head to the water cooler so you don't look so foolish. I'll have that for you in just a moment. Stick around, you're listening to First Cup, and I'm your host, the rollicking Joe Haffner.
Dear parents, much of what we learn in this world comes directly from you.
Whatever your message is, it will become part of us forever.
Please teach us to accept one another. Teach us to respect one another. Please do not fill our minds with hatred. Do not expose us to bigotry. Do not teach us to judge each other by race, religion, orientation, or the color of our skin.
Teach us the concept of tolerance.
Teach us to understand one another.
Teach us to accept people of different cultures and persons with different beliefs than yours.
Please help us to create a world
where every man, woman, and child is treated equally.
Dear parents,
please don't teach us words of hate. We learn from you every moment. If you use a certain word which might be hurtful to others, we will repeat that word. Please don't show us acts of hate. If you act against people of different faiths,
we will repeat your actions.
Dear parents, we are your children,
and we are relying on you
to help us create a world where every person is tolerant of one another.
Have you witnessed anything like this?
Mate, I've told you before, this is for real women.
Is there a problem here?
No matter how subtle,
So who is it this week, a guy or a girl? Haven't you made your mind up yet?
they are all forms of sexually based harassment.
Sarah, get that thing off your neck. We don't all need to hear about it.
Anybody can report this behaviour.
And there are laws to protect you.
Do something about it.